of those game spots all weekend long, despite standing shoulder to shoulder with some of the biggest names in the sport. Fisagapi really had to do damage control opening event, and then she has picked up steam slowly throughout the weekend after 21st place finish in 8 mile, 4th in Need for Speed, 4th in Grill, 7th place finish in Inception, giving herself a shot at a second CrossFit Games burden after she had her invite to the games taken away last year.
Overall standings coming into this fifth event. The top 5 advancing to the 2021 Double CrossFit Games. Jess Griffin's ranked right now is in that final spot, but only by 10 points. Spot 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's plenty on the line for them as well, because those positions will earn a ticket to the last chance qualifier. Danielle Dunlap is trying to fend off a challenge from Kelly Clark. Tia Toomey not trying to fend off anybody right now. She is all by herself by 48 points in first place.
You know, Tia just continuing her winning streak. This year, after winning her 4th consecutive CrossFit Games title, the question, how can she continue to improve? Well, you know, she comes in, she wins the Worldwide Open. It was the one stage of competition she had yet to win. Checks that off the list. Comes in, has a strong performance again, winning in quarterfinals. Now she's here in person in the semifinal, and we thought she might not be able to compete in person because of the COVID restrictions for travel. Backfield spots open up an opportunity for her to compete in person, and she has delivered so far.
Final heat in the Tri-Wizard Cup for women when we return to the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. Two events stand between 5 athletes and a trip to the 2021 Double CrossFit Games here in the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge in Knoxville, Tennessee. Thanks for being with us, everybody, inside the Compton Bowl Arena on the campus of the University of Tennessee. Sean Dean and Tommy Marquez with Nikki Granger. Final heat for event 5 for the women is up next, and there is still a ton to be decided when it comes to who is advancing to the games and who gets one more chance to qualify for a trip to Madison. Overall standings coming into event number 5, Tia Toomey all by herself atop the overall leaderboard by 48 points. Jessica Griffin right now hanging on the final qualifying spot for the games, but only 10 points up on Christy Kohlenbrander and only 16 up on Fisagapi as we head to Tri-Wizard Cup.
Fans of the Harry Potter franchise will recognize this name. 4 rounds for time, 20 calories in the air back for the women, 20 toes to bar, 10 thrusters, 40-foot overhead walking lunge with that 95-pound barbell. Nice mixture of skills here.
Starlet presented by CBD MD. Tia Toomey, the overall leader in the middle of the floor. Jess Griffin will be in lane number 3. And one of the women she's trying to hold out will be right next to her in lane 2. Christine Kohlenbrander will be on the other side of the floor. She is in lane
said, you know, the Harry Potter series, the Travelers are Cup, Harry wins it. He wasn't the best at any one thing. He was good at the mixture of skills, and that's what's really going to help you succeed here. You have a gymnastics movement, a weightlifting movement, structural movement. That's a mixture with overhead walking lunge.
Jess Griffith right now in fifth place overall, 296 total points, has steadily improved as this competition has gone on. She started with a tie for 9th in the 8 mile, but had her best finish to close out day number 2, a 5th place in inception.
It's been kind of a seesaw few years for Jess Griffith in the sport. Qualified for the games in 2017, missed it in 2018, goes team in 2019, trying to go back to individual for the first time in nearly 4 years.
4 athletes to the Coast Guard at the same time. Brooke Wells, Tia Julie, Haley Adams, and Amanda Gardner. Nicole Gibson-Burke is there as well as Kelly Clark, the final athlete to the pull-up bar for 20 toes to bar. Fisa Gothi comes in 7th place overall. That would give her a trip to the Last Chance Online qualifier. She's only 16 points back to Jess Griffith. That's the race that you're going to want to watch between these lanes 3, 1, and 8. And all 3 of those athletes still on the toes to bar as your overall leaders are on the barbell for their first 7-10 thrusters. Jess Griffith getting to the thrusters just ahead of Fisa Gothi. Gets 2 reps now, 3 reps in before Gothi gets her hands on that 95-pound barbell. Here comes Kelly Clark in lane 10.
And Scott will have the benefit of being in the lane next to Jess Griffith, so she can keep an eye the entire way on the woman that she needs to catch in order to try and secure one of those top 5 spots.
Danielle Dunlap over in lane 1 has an outside shot of plunging into the top 5, but for her, she is in 9th place. That means she is the last person to qualify for the Last Chance Online qualifier. 42 points out of a qualifying spot for the games, but coming in only has a 14-point lead over Kelly Clark down in lane 10. And Clark right now ahead of Danielle Dunlap. Jess Griffith is back to the bike, ahead of both Fisa Gothi and Christine Cologrand. The top 5 women in the overall standings are the top 5 in this heat. As they start their second round, Kelly Clark from CrossFit up in Santa Cruz, California, trying to work her way into a spot, the Last Chance Online qualifier, 10th place overall coming into this event.
And Kelly Lynn trains just up the road from me. Quite familiar with her as an athlete and friend, and she loves the toes to bar portion of this particular test. And as we've seen in previous heats, proficiency in the toes to bar, especially in the later rounds, is proven to be the difference maker.
Kelly Clark on the right, trying to surpass Danielle Dunlap for 9th place overall and put herself in contention for a spot for Last Chance Online qualifier. I want to thank one of our partners for the broadcast, Thor, Personalized Scientific Wellness. Visit Thor.com and check out the official supplement partner for CrossFit, trusted by U.S. national teams and more than 100 professional sports teams. Tia Toomey is your leader, followed by Haley Adams. The top 2 women in the overall standings. Brooke Wells, who was 3rd, will be the 3rd woman to the toes to bar. And now Amanda Gardner, who is in 4th, will be the 4th woman in the toes to bar. She's on the right side of your screen.
Tia Toomey and Haley Adams picking up right where they left off last night. You remember Haley and Tia were the 2 front runners in inception, basically at the front of the pack the entire way. They finished 1-2 in the event. Decided, hey, let's keep this thing going. Jump out front here early on and try to lose her trap.
Christine Cologrand, as we see Tia Toomey on the thrusters, her second set. Cologrand, the pink in the middle of your screen, got to the pull-up bar just ahead of Jess Griffith. So certainly put some pressure on Jess Griffith. Cologrand, again, only 10 points back from Griffith. In order to make that up in one event, Cologrand would not only have to beat Griffith across the finish line, but she would need to get something between the 2 of them. Griffith, in the middle of your screen, with Fisa Gothi, the other woman who's trying to challenge her for that 5th final spot, is in lane 2. This is the cut line for the top 5 as far as tickets to the CrossFit Games are concerned. There's Jessica Griffith at 296 points with that 10-point lead over Cologrand, 16 points up on Gothi.
Gothi is going unbroken on the toes bar each time. The problem with that is some of these other athletes are going unbroken as well. So unless Gabi can start to make some moves on the lunge or on the bike, there really isn't much room for improvement right now.
Gabi taking off on her 40-foot overhead walking lunge. Griffith is across, just ahead of Christine Kohlenbrander, and she will hustle back to the bike. Kohlenbrander in lane 8, the other end of the floor is across, and she will now move back to the bike for round 3. And Fisa Gabi is behind the two of them. There goes Christine Kohlenbrander to start round 3. Gabi heading back to the bike. Danielle Dunlap back down the floor, and she is trailing Kelly Clark right now. This is the fight for 9th place, the final spot in the last year's online qualifier. 14 points separate Danielle Dunlap from Kelly Clark. And Clark right now has the lead. As she takes a look to her left to see where Dunlap is, Clark working her way back to the bike to start round 3 as well.
Dunlap starting to fade a little bit. Clark was about even with her after round 1. She's starting to open up a little bit of a lead over Danielle Dunlap.
Time to beat belongs to Rebecca Fuselier, 13 minutes, 12 seconds. Tia Toomey and Haley Adams are on their 3rd round of toes to bar. They're your leaders in this heat, and now Brooke Wells has joined them. The top 4 of the overall standings have been the top 4 in this event so far.
Notice Tia's hand positioning a little bit wider than Haley's. Allows her to really open up her chest, get her head and chest through at the front end of that kit. Get a little bit more momentum to drive the motion all the way back.
Tia Toomey back to the barbell for her 3rd round of crushes at 95 pounds. Here comes Haley Adams. Toomey 3 reps now, 4 reps in Adams with her hands on the barbell, and she will start her 34 sets at 10 thrusters. Back in the ring, Christine Kohlenbrander and Jess Griffith are continuing to fight in this heat.
This is the matchup I think a lot of us wanted to see, right? Haley Adams is someone that a lot of people think could be the next in line. And she gets to go side by side with the reigning fittest woman on her Tia Toomey. As an athlete like Haley, that's what you want in order to test yourself, consistently measure yourself against the best in the sport. And they've been dueling back and forth the last 2 events, really rewarding the fans that showed up today.
In the race for 5th place, Christine Kohlenbrander just ahead of Jess Griffith to the barbell for the 3rd set of thrusters. Kohlenbrander on the left, Griffith on the right. Griffith in 5th place overall, just 10 points up on Christine Kohlenbrander. Final rep for Kohlenbrander, no break. She's right back down the floor alongside Amanda Barnhart. Jess Griffith taking off, and it's Kohlenbrander now with the lead.
You're starting to see the sense of urgency from some of these athletes, not doing the 9 thrusters, reset for the 10, go directly overhead. They're just ripping through the 10, keeping them locked down, and going right into their next set of overhead walking lunges.
Christine Kohlenbrander is across just ahead of Amanda Barnhart. That's big for Kohlenbrander. She heads into the 4th and final round of this event. Jess Griffith back to the plate. And Kohlenbrander has a chance to make the distance between herself and Jess Griffith. This is a battle for 9th place. Danielle Dunlap on the left, Kelly Clark on the right. Dunlap, 9th place overall. Final spot on the last chance qualifier. Kelly Clark trying to track her down. They are neck and neck, each with 1 rep remaining on their 3rd set of 10 thrusters. Time to beat 13 minutes, 12 seconds. We got Fuselier to put that up in the 2nd of these 3 heats. And both Tia Toomey and Haley Adams are waging an all-out assault on that. Tia Toomey looking for her 3rd event win. She has yet to finish lower than 3rd here in this competition.
Doesn't look like that is going to change it all here, Sean. So far, leading wire to wire.
Final set, the 10 thrusters for Tia Toomey. She gets right to work, all by herself, in the lead once again. Kelly Clark events to come line for the spots at the CrossFit Games. The second one below Danielle Dunlap. Those 4 athletes, 6 through 9, are the ones who are trying to get into the last chance online qualifier. Tia Toomey. Lunging towards the finish line. And this one will not be nearly as close as the one that we saw back in 2017 at the Alliant Energy Center in Madison, Wisconsin. Tia Toomey cruising to another event's win. 104 points with a 4-time finish goal on Earth, and she meant to do that.
First time we've actually seen her look tired.
The only thing that can trip up Tia Toomey is the barbell. And now a race for second between Haley Adams and Brooke Wells. Haley Adams, as the crowd is on its feet, it has been a while since I've been able to say that. Adams slightly ahead of Wells, and it's going to be Haley Adams who trips over the barbell. So I don't know if that finish is going to count, because I think you made it over your barbell to the finish. You'll have to go to the chip, but that was super close.
Like I said, Brooke Wells made that all, but she made a late charge on that final set of rock lunges.
Christine Kohlenbrenner in lane 8, this is huge. She is looking to finish in 4th place in this event. And she is ahead right now of Jess Griffith, but Jess Griffith is the next woman behind her.
And Kohlenbrenner really needed Amanda Barnhart to hold on to her position ahead of Jess Griffith. Griffith making a push in that last set of 10 thrusters, going immediately into her lunges, taking a chance here.
And Fisa Coffey is creeping up on Griffith. Griffith is going to surrender some points to Kohlenbrenner. Griffith is across. The gap between 5th and 6th is going to get a little tighter as Amanda Barnhart comes in. Fisa Coffey getting set to finish. And there she is in. 3 athletes left on the floor, and there's still a big race that's taking place. Lanes 1 and 10, Danielle Dunlap, who's trying to hang on to 9th overall, the last spot. The last chance online qualifier is neck and neck with Kelly Clark. Dunlap has started the final 10 thrusters just ahead of Clark.
Dunlap making a push both of the last 2 rounds. Kelly Clark was actually ahead of Dunlap going into the thrusters. One of them is going to probably have to take a chance here.
Nicole Gibson, meanwhile, is getting set to come across the finish line as Kelly Clark has the barbell down with 1 left to go. And it's going to be Danielle Dunlap, who will not take a break, and she will take off down the floor. Dunlap, 9th place overall with 254 points, only 14 up on Kelly Clark. Time for the prior heat's now starting to be a factor. Kelly Clark
Starting to pick up ground on Dunlap.
is gaining. She may not have enough time, but Kelly Clark now even with Danielle Dunlap. Clark has Dunlap with a slight hesitation on one of her steps, and we will have to go to the official time and even with a tie.
Clark actually got across the designated line ahead of Dunlap, but it looked like she hesitated just a split second to wait for the judge's call.
Kelly Clark trying just to keep Danielle Dunlap within reach, and if she ends up beating Dunlap across the finish line officially, the deficit gets smaller. We know the deficit between 5th and 6th is going to get tighter as Christine Kohlenbrenner with a late charge will pick up points on Jess Griffith. An exciting final heat in event 5, but it was just business as usual for Tia Toomey.
Yeah, she got pulled into an early foot race with Haley Adams, but slowly but surely, Tia started to pull away. Consistent pacing throughout, and even a little triple back to finish could prevent Tia Toomey from another event win. 3rd in the last 4 events. She's just on another level right now.
Let's go down to Nikki Brazier on the competition floor.
I think we're going to have to to go to the official times to figure out exactly what happened there, but I know that you and Haley were kind of going neck and neck to see who could cross the finish line. First, when that happens, how much of that affects you and how you push or do you have a plan going into a new state with?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I try to figure out like where the other athletes are in scenarios like that. It's one of those things that's like so exciting and fun, but it hurts so bad. But that's what makes it so exciting for spectators and us as athletes.
And that's what you train for, but obviously things are different when you're in front of a crowd and when you've got other competitors right next to you. I mean, how well does that prepare you for this environment?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I would have done my best if I was in my gym, but having Haley push me was complete, like, different scenario and just pushed me even harder than I wanted to.
We've seen a lot of changes over the course of the season, over the course of the year. You guys have been faced with a lot of different sort of obstacles. You had to move, you had a change in your training. How does that all sort of come together to prepare you for today?
This has hands down been the most fun year of training I've ever had. Moving to Nashville, it's just like I love being there. Recently switched over to being coached by Shane Orr. Being around the team and the whole Purdue team, it's just, we push so hard, but we also have so much fun. It's like the perfect environment for me.
Thank you so much.
I mean, you hear it from her ball, she's having more fun than ever. She was already on the cusp of a podium finish, making the Final Five for Rose last year. And now she gets the benefit of training alongside the best in the sport, the best we've ever seen in the women's division. Can only serve to help her girls in her quest for a podium finish.
If that final heat is any indication of what we have in store for the rest of the day, you're going to want to get comfortable not going anywhere. Event 5 coming up next for the men. Then we'll go back to the women for the first 2 heats of Event 6. The first 2 heats of men for Event 6. And then we will close out with the final heats for both the men and the women. And at 4:45 Eastern, we will have our podium ceremony, and we will know the names of everyone who will be heading to Madison, Wisconsin for the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. Official event standings. For the women, Brooke Wells edges out Haley Evans by a second. Christine Kohlenbrenner beats Jessica Griffin across the finish line and will pick up Grace Oliver. Amanda Barnhart finishes in 6th place, and it's Fee Sagabi who takes 7th. Rebecca Fuseli is top 5 for B2. Good enough for 8. We're going to catch our breath, take a little bit of a break here, and be back for event number 5 for the men. Stay with us. It's going to be a blast on the final day for the individuals here at the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge.
Strategy to help our folks lead on post-COVID, and thought the best way to do that was to collect over 130 years of affiliate ownership together on the road. So talking best practices and how to strategize operationalize them, and of course distribute that. Tapping into 130 years of affiliate ownership is eye-opening. The diversity that we have here, different geographic representation, and being able to talk through the challenges, how to navigate those challenges, from is really, really powerful. What's magical about CrossFit affiliate is where you walk in, that energy, that community, that sense of belonging, it's consistent across the board. And you hear these anecdotes of people who have nothing bosses, regardless of where they are, about the experiences they've had. Not only is the experience great, but it prepares you to take on the challenges that you're facing, regardless of what's going on in the day. That's why I think the methodology is so powerful.
Day 3 of the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge continues as the men are now set to take the floor for the first time here on Sunday at the Thompson Bowling Arena inside the campus of Knoxville, Tennessee. Sean Woodland and Tommy Marquez, along with Ricky Brazier here with you. Thanks so much for joining us today, everybody. It's going to be a lot of fun as we close out the individual competition with the Tri-Wizard Cup.
It's get the gauntlet of fire, Sean, grab your finish broom, sorry. Because we got 4 rounds for time, 30 calories on the bike for the men, 20 toes to bar, 10 thrusters, 40-foot overhead walking lunge, 135 on the barbell for the men.
First of 3 heats for the men, just 9 athletes in this opening heat. And these are the men who are trying to work their way up the leaderboard inside the top 10 and close out their weekend on the positive.
Austin Delkoff, 21st right now. Best chance to maybe move up into a higher heat. He had his best finish of the weekend and close out day number 2, 15th place in Inception.
They're getting the floor set for the opening heat. We take a quick break. We'll be back when the men take the floor for the opening of the 5 Tri-Wizard Cup. Event number 5 up next for the men in the Mid-Atlantic CrossFit Challenge. We appreciate you being with us here today, everybody. Inside the top of the workshop, we're going to have the podcast. I'm going to move. Ricky Brazier down on the competition floor. Event 5. Can't love the names of the kind of the events here so far. This one, Tri-Wizard Cup.
Yep, 4 rounds for time, 30 cal bike, 20 toes to bar, 10 thrusters, some overhead walking lunge with a 135-pound barbell. You're going to do that 4 times. Nice mixture of skills here, weightlifting, non-structural gymnastics. Lends itself to an athlete that has got a good mixture of talents, very much like Eric Potter when he won the Tri-Wizard Cup. Unexpected day out, I might add.
Well done, Tom. The knowledge of the Harry Potter universe is very impressive.
Sets down my comment.
Start list for heat 1 presented by ZBD and the 9 athletes in this opening heat. These are the men who are trying to make their way inside the top 20 and possibly a spot inside the top 10 if all things go well. Austin Delkoff is the man who's the closest to doing right. He had 21st overall, 124 points, 27 back, 27 points back. He coupled with 22. First 3 heats of Tri-Wizard Cup, 4 rounds. Got the 30 category blocks up to 9 minutes on the 20 toes of war, 10 thrusters at 135 pounds, and they keep that barbell over their heads and they run it 40 feet down the competition floor. I want to thank Noble, just the horns. Visit nobleproject.com/CrossFit, stock up on training essentials, and be the first to access the CrossFit collection. Sign up for the Chipper Noble loyalty program where CrossFit athletes receive bonus points left off in lane 5. The man with games experience in this heat, he was on CrossFit Kilo 2's team in 2015 that finished 19th overall in games.
CrossFit Kilo, one of those mainstay gyms out of the former North Central Regional. Groups to the Central Regional, we've seen teams, individuals, masters athletes, all across the board of competition coming out of those Kilo gyms and showing up on the competition floor.
Norman Woodring is the first man to move on to the 20 toes of Arlington Batita in lane 4, will be second. Woodring out of Dr. Norman CrossFit in Leesburg, Florida. Guy who was a fisher at the regionals and 4-time regionals competitor, twice on the team, twice as an individual. His best individual finish in the 5 years of regionals, that was in 2018 when he took 9th in the Atlantic. Visit Batita, also a 3-time regionals competitor in the Central Regional, 23rd of 2014, when it was the Central East.
Well, congratulations from Norman and his wife. Little Birdie told us that they welcomed their 3rd child just a few months ago.
Congratulations to them.
So impressive, competing also with a newborn, something you're quite familiar with, Sean.
Norman Woodring is your leader, followed by Vincent Batita, the two of them on their opening set of 10 thrusters. Marco Alejandro in lane 3. He's back to the barbell. And Matthew Green in lane 1. Woodring is done with the 710. He's going to keep that barbell over his head, and now he will lunge back down the floor 40 feet as he is in the lead ahead of Vincent Batita. Woodring, a little bigger athletes in the field, listed at 6'1", 220 pounds. He will certainly have the advantage when he gets to that 135-pound barbell as he continues to work his way back down the floor and close out round number 1.
Always nice to see a fellow rig shaker out there, holding it down for us. Athletes over 6 feet and over 200 pounds.
It's an exclusive group.
Testing the tensile strength of the rib there.
Vincent Batita back on the bike alongside Norman Woodring. Woodring coming in 22nd place overall, 115 in total points for him. His best finish was 13 to close out the day number 2 in the session. Vincent Batita, he is the man who was in 2nd place. His best finish was 10th in the weather. That was the opening event on day number 2. That sprint that we saw with the barbell and wet-facing workers. Norman Woodring going to close out his 2nd 30-calorie bike, and then it's back to the ball for his 2nd time for 20 toes tomorrow. Judge's hand raised for Norman Woodring in lane 6. As he has just got 1 calorie remaining, and he will be the first man back to the pull-up bar. And get to work on his 2nd set of 20 toes tomorrow. 2nd of 4 rounds here in Tri-Wizard Cup. Opening heat, 3 heats today. And the excitement that is going to ensue in event 5 for the men is anything like it was for the women. You're going to want to stick around for a while. It's going to be a lot of fun. Vincent Batita back up on the pull-up bar as well. He's in 2nd place.
We had some phenomenal finishes in the women's divisions. Especially between the athletes on the bubble for both of those cut lines. Christine Coleman-Ryder, Jessica Fifty, Agapi. And then a neck and neck finish between Kelly Clark, Danielle Brunlap, for that last chance qualifier spot.
Norman Woodring has started his 2nd set at 135-pound thrusters. He has between 10 reps. Vincent Batita on the left of your screen is in 2nd place, and it's Matthew Green in lane 1, who is in 3rd. Green making his way back to the bar. Actually, has a couple more reps of the toes bar to go. Woodring, with 1 rep to go, decided to rest at 9, completes his 10th, and will now take off on his 2nd 40-foot overhead block lunge. Vincent Batita choosing to take a break on the barbell as well as Matthew Green and Marco Alejandro in 1 and 3 on that body. Marco there on the upper left-hand part of the screen. It's a Petita now, like his way down the floor for the second time.
This is the second time we've seen Norman Woodring jump out to a lead early on. Yesterday in Inception, he was leading through the first 2 rounds before Casey Crable came on strong late in that heat. Take the win, but so far so good for Norman.
He is past the halfway point of this event, now into round 3. And another 30 calories on the concept to light Vincent Petita. He's done with his 40-foot overhead blocking lunges. He is working his way back to the road. Matthew Green in lane 1 and Josh Woodhull in lane 9 fighting for 3rd place. Marco Alejandro now solidly in 4th. And Woodhull taking a look down the floor to see where Green was. And the 2 of them decided to jog their way back to the lights. Vincent Petita currently in 2nd place at CrossFit SAO Low in Torture, Ohio.
That's the look of someone starting to enter the pain cave, Sean. Keeping the eyes closed while you're on the machine, that tells me you don't want to see the number that's on the monitor.
Norman Woodring, who has led since the beginning of this heat, also starting to show signs of fatigue, at least on his face. And he is in his final handful of calories, now 3 to go for Woodring in lane 6. Third set of toes bar for Norman Woodring. 20 reps here, then another 10 reps on the 135-pound barbell that is now on the other end of the floor, almost thrusters.
So far, a very different story than what we've seen in the early heats on the women's side. Very few athletes were able to lead wire to wire.
Usually the athlete that jumped out front early was towards the middle or back by the end of the event. So far, Norman Woodring taking control early and has had no issue actually expanding upon his lead so far as we get further into the event.
Now, Vincent Petita in lane 4, man, who's in 2nd place, is now just beginning his 20 toes to bar. Woodring has returned to the barbell, 10 more reps with medical thrusters. Petita continues to chip away at those 20 toes to bar. Woodring last set decided to go through 9 with the barbell down, do 1 final thruster, and then take off on a 40-foot overhead line lunge. And he will employ the same strategy on his 3rd and 4 rounds. One final rep for Woodring. Keep the barbell overhead. And now really putting the distance between himself and Vincent Petita. As Petita on the bottom left of your screen. Just now returning to the barbell to begin his 3rd set of 10 thrusters.
Josh Woodhull starting to push up.
Woodhull on the bottom right, moving into 3rd place. The CrossFit Nation, Rochester, Michigan. Also another guy who spent a lot of time competing at the regionals, Woodring. Takes the finishing touches on his 3rd overhead walking lunge.
He's also very active in the sanctional season too. Both years, 2019 and 2020, he's finished 1 spot shy of earning a spot to the games. He was 2nd in Brazil in 2019, 2nd at the Norwegian CrossFit Championships in 2020. Had the opportunity to go down there and see that in person.
Josh Woodhull with 1 rep to go. Vincent Petita is back on the barbell, the overhead walking lunge. And Woodhull is in a good 3-way battle now for 3rd place with Matthew Green and Marco Alejandro. Marco Alejandro on the left side of your screen, you have no shirt on. Woodhull is on the far right in the black shirt. And he is now behind Marco Alejandro. Matthew Green threatening to pass him as well in lane 1. Norman Woodring continues to lead, trying to go wire to wire here in the first of 3 heats 15-minute time cap in this event. About 7 minutes left before we run into that. Marco Alejandro on the left, solidly in third place behind Vincent Petita. Woodring is almost done with his fourth and final bite. One last set of 20 toes tomorrow. Here in round 4. Vincent Petita still trying to hang on to second place. Marco Alejandro and Josh Woodall put on a bit of a charge and try to overtake him. Nolan Woodring is all by himself. Here in the fourth and final round as he gets back to work, like I said. Of 20 toes to work.
You see the fatigue setting on there, Nolan Woodring putting on a good pain face.